Big recruiting weekend for the Longhorns. Let's get down to it. Jaime Ffrench, five-star wide receiver, number 4 wide receiver in the upcoming class, 6'1", 185 pounds from Florida. He visited this weekend. He was interviewed and basically said he loved his visit. He would love to come back in July during the dead period, and they're going to have a pool party there. He might even come back for the SEC announcement party as well, so that could be very interesting. Right now, guys, the teams he mentioned are Texas, Tennessee, LSU, Miami. He also mentioned Ohio State, but not as heavily. But again, you cannot count out Ohio State. They recruit at an elite level, especially at the wide receiver position with Brian Hartline there. So I definitely look out for that. In my opinion, I think it's Texas, Tennessee, and then I would put Ohio State third. I don't think he stays in state. That is from all over. If you look at Inside Texas, On Texas, all those guys that do a great job, they basically said he's not going to stay in state. So guess what that eliminates? Miami. I do not expect Jaime Ffrench to go to Miami. I think Texas is leading at this point. I think Texas is leading for Decorion Moore and Jaime Ffrench. But this next guy we're talking about, I really want. I think he could possibly be the best wide receiver of the 3. But I don't think we're leading right now, and that's Khalil Lockett. He is also a 5-star wide receiver. Right now, guys, I think Alabama leads there. They are doing a phenomenal job recruiting. Anyone that thought Alabama was going to fall off this cliff recruiting was just wrong. First off, they didn't really have to spend that much money under Nick Saban because guess what? It's Nick Saban. I can promise in making you an NFL player. Sign me up, coach. Where do I sign up for that? Now they have Kalen DeBoer, who's a hell of a coach, and they have more money to spend because they had all that money saved up that they didn't have to spend, but now they do have to spend it. They have a lot saved up, so they can just spend it. And with Kalen DeBoer's offensive system, the money they're giving around to go play at a program like Alabama, I understand why. I think this is going to come down to Alabama and Texas. I think Texas A&M is third, but a distant third. I think Florida State is kind of in there with Texas A&M. I would love to have all 3. Steve Sarkisian made a priority to sit down with this kid before he left campus. And my suspicion is he told him, hey, there is enough room for you here. We spread the ball around. We spread the wealth. You will be able to get these touches. He probably told him about when he had Jerry Jeudy, Henry Ruggs, Jalen Waldo, Devontae Smith, John Mechie on a room, and they all were able to eat. They were all able to get that NFL draft stock high and go into the NFL draft. That is my suspicion of what Sark told him. And I think that could change his mind. I think, honestly, that's the big deal. And I completely understand why, guys, because we already have a talented room. Then you could add Decorion Moore and Jaime Ffrench to that. He could be like, man, I have an NFL future. I have NFL potential. Why would I go here when I may not get the ball that much? I think Sark told him, you will get the ball. I promise you, kid. Just come here. I'll develop you. I'll get you to the NFL. We'll see what happens. But that Bama noise is loud, guys. Next up, in my opinion, the most important guy on this week and last week's visits, Michael Fasusi, and I'll tell you why I'm not the only one that thinks that. Steve Sarkisian was seen taking this kid around campus. Same thing he did with Decorion Moore last week, he did with Michael Fasusi this week. He was the one around him all the time. He was the one that was riding in the car with Michael Fasusi. You saw him get the picture with Michael Fasusi with the horns up. This is a big deal, guys. 5 of the 10 offensive tackles in the state of Texas are 5 of the 10 tackles in the nation are from the state of Texas. Texas isn't really trending with any of them except this guy. This guy has to be a Longhorn. And as I've told Mark and on the show, whenever Steve Sarkisian has wanted somebody or needed somebody, he usually gets them. I think we end up with Michael Fasusi. I do think it's Texas or Oklahoma. And on top of that, recruiting the offensive line position really well. You cannot lose this guy to Oklahoma. I think A&M is in the picture, but again, a distant third. You have to get Michael Fasusi on campus at Texas. You have to keep him at Texas. He's a 5-star kid from Texas, 6'5", 295 pounds. I think he's going to be a really good player. You have to keep him at Texas. Let's see. QWERTY, I know this is football, not baseball. David Pierce is gone. Yes, he is gone, QWERTY. I think we'll have an announcement on that probably by Friday is my guess. A.K.A. Mr. Sioux Falls. Yeah. Let's get back to big recruiting weekend. KJ Lacey already committed to Texas. Basically said this locked him in. I don't think he's going anywhere. I do think there were some current concerns with him, honestly, about Texas recruiting other guys for that spot. And he's like, you know what? This solidified me. He had a really good Elite 11 camp. I think he finished as like 6th or 7th guy there by most people's accounts. So he did a pretty good job there. And I think he's really cemented at Texas. Linebacker from California, 6'3", 230. It's Texas and Notre Dame. Notre Dame was up by a large margin, guys, a very large margin. But they were able to make up ground this. Notre Dame leads in this recruitment, but Texas is making up ground, guys. So that is a good thing. And this is another position group that Texas really needs to attack because we're thin here at depth-wise. I think our top-end talent's very good. And will be gone after this year, and that really hurts. So Madden Faremo definitely is a really good player that Texas definitely wants and Texas definitely needs. I think right now I would say 70% Notre Dame, 30% Texas, but Texas can definitely make up that gap. I think it was like 90-10 before you got to this recruiting weekend. They did a fantastic job that gap. Next up, a guy that's already committed to Texas, Bo Barnes or Elijah Barnes, 6'1", 220 pounds, a big thumping guy that can run as well. That's what you need in the SEC. If you see those Georgia aliens at middle linebacker that can run the sideline just as well as they can get downhill and thump you, that's what Madden Faremo is, and that's why these guys are so important in the recruiting going forward for Texas. My Wi-Fi's acting up. I swear, man, if I swear I'll lose it. I will be back, guys. If this goes out, I will be here tomorrow to do this because Spectrum hates me, apparently. DJ Sanders. So Texas, well, at least the attitude among Texas fans is the defensive line recruiting isn't good enough at this point. I don't know if that's the case. Do we have any solid commitments there? No. Brandon Brown he's committed, but it's soft as baby poo commitment. Let's be honest here. There's a really good chance he ends up at LSU. But the guys that we do have there that could come to Texas, half of them class. The problem is we haven't landed any yet. And I think that's the issue. You just don't see a commitment next to their names. You're like, damn. But this is a long time, guys. There's a long time to play out before signing day. So we'll see here. But DJ Sanders is considering Texas and Michigan. Here, guys, I really do. I think it's 60-40 Texas. He does have family from Michigan. I think that helps Michigan a little bit because let's be honest here, guys. If he had no family in Michigan and he's coming from Texas all the way up to Michigan, that'd be a really hard sell. But he does have some family up there, so that does help. His commitment will probably come in the next 2 weeks. So that one, hopefully Texas can get on board. A guy that I'm really excited about and a guy that I think is a freak, Nick Townsend, number 4 athlete in 6'3", 235 pounds. He wants to play tight end. And I think there's a good chance they pitched him on Jatavian Sanders, but it's funny. Winston, who we'll talk about, in this class committed to Texas at tight end, said, getting interviewed, that he told Nick Townsend, hey, man, you may not be playing tight end, you may play defensive end. And I think Nick Townsend's open to that as well. I don't know if the Texas staff is. That'll be interesting to see. But this guy's a freak, guys. He is basically a bigger version of, in my opinion, Amari Niblack. He's that good of an athlete. He's a freak at the tight end position, so definitely a get here. James Simon already committed to Texas at the running back position. Mom and dad love the visit. They posted everywhere they possibly could, all over Twitter, Instagram. We love the visit. We love Sark. This is the guy we're trusting our kid with. He is 100% locked in, committed to Texas. Definitely a little bit more power than speed there, but that's why you have Ricky Stewart in the class. So I'm really excited to see him in Burnt Orange. And then Devin Williams, an Auburn commit, who is from Buford, Georgia. He's a great athlete with track speed and short area quickness. I think he's a future nickelback if he comes to Texas. He's 5'10", 165 pounds, so that stood out to me. He's like a little bit smaller than PK likes him, but if he has that short area quickness and agility, fits great at the nickelback position. I do think Auburn leads pretty heavily here. Could Texas change him? Possibly they could, but he is from Georgia, so it's going to be hard, guys. And then Cade Phillips, who I mentioned a while ago on the Caleb Chester commitment. Cade Phillips, if he wants to play cornerback, will be at LSU. That's all there is to it. If he's open to playing safety, he will be at Texas. That's what this comes down to. LSU wants him at cornerback. Texas like, we'll try you at corner, but if you don't succeed, you're playing safety. If he truly just like, nah, I'm playing corner, I don't want to play anything else, he will end up at LSU. And then as we talked about, Emory Winston, who's also from Georgia at the tight end position, love Texas even more, said this solidifies it. I'm done with my recruiting. I am at Texas. He's committed here already. I'll take the young man at his word. I think he's done. I think he's locked up for Texas. And then we had one cancellation, guys, which really sucks. And this is what the fans are worried about, again, with the defensive line recruiting. Zion Williams probably going to end up with LSU on July 4th. Now, Does that mean Texas can't get back in this game? Absolutely not. Remember, guys, Kelvin Banks was committed to Oregon. Mario Cristobal left, and Texas still committed him, recruited him that whole time. And then they were opportunistic, jumped on it when Mario Cristobal left and said, no, young man, get yourself down here to Texas. He came down to Texas. We did the same thing with Ty Anthony Smith, flipping him from Texas A&M to Texas on National Signing Day. Anthony Hill, a couple weeks before National Signing Day, Texas A&M to Texas. You have to stay in the mix, and that's what this Texas staff does. I think they'll stay in the mix with Zion Williams. They'll try to get him on campus in the fall, and if they can do that, and I think Texas will have a better year than LSU, I think you could see this guy flip. So I'm not saying he's going to be 100% at LSU. I do think it commits there. DeCorian Moore did that too, and guess what? I think he's going to end up at Texas. But July 4th, I fully expect this young man to be a commit to LSU, but there's a good chance Texas could flip him. And then the next couple of guys we talk about, 3 in a row, all offensive tackles, Jackson Christian, Jordan Coleman, and Devin Coleman, all committed to Texas, all pretty seem solidified in their commitment to Texas, so that is good. They all enjoyed their visits. I fully expect them to be in the class at Texas. Then let's get back to the defensive back room. We have 4 in a row right here. Aiden Anning, Dejon Lee, Dorian Brew, and Nathan Tillman. Let's start out with Aiden Anning. He's a 3-star guy. Texas, Miami, and Arkansas seem to be in the mix. Texas did get the last commitment here, so that really does, or last visit here, so that really does help out. I think he ends up at Texas. Usually, guys, when it's close like this and you get the final visit, you end up with this guy at a high school. Now it's kind of the opposite in the transfer portal. When you're the first team, you would usually end up with him. I think Aiden Anning ends up at Texas. He's 5'11", 165 pounds, a nice, long, lengthy cornerback. Let's take him, guys. Okay, this is a guy I would love to have. Not going to lie. I don't think it's going to happen, but I'd love to have him. Dejon Lee, 6'4", 190 pounds. That if PK could have any body type he wanted, it's this guy right here. Unfortunately, I don't think he ends up with Texas. Bama and UGA are definitely 1 and 2 right now. I think Texas and Texas A&M are battling for 3rd. Could Texas get back in this? Yes, but its commitment date is June 28th. That's 4 days away. I just don't see it happening. Again, stay in the game just like Zion Williams and see what happens. Maybe you can flip him down the road, but it's going to be hard to flip him from Bama or Georgia. It really is, guys, so I think he ends up there. And then Dorian Brew, Texas or Ohio State. His mom and his alumni at Ohio State, was an athlete at Ohio State. That's the draw there. Texas, he lives there. He's from there. I think it's 50-50. I have no idea where this goes. It's going to be very interesting. If his mom has a lot of influence, I think he ends up at Ohio State. But I think it's 50-50 right now. And then Nathan Tillman, I think this guy could potentially be the next guy you see commit to Texas. He just decommitted from SMU after a midweek visit this week to Texas. So I fully expect this guy to be in the Texas class. It's a matter of it's a matter of when, not if. I think it's going to be pretty soon. I think it's going to be within the next 7 to 10 days. So keep an eye on for that, and we'll be there. By the way, he's only a 3-star, but he's underrated. 6 foot, 185 pounds, can run. He should be way higher up there as a safety, and I'm really looking forward to it when he does commit to Texas, and I will be here for you guys as well. So again, please hit that like button. Please subscribe, and let's jump into these comments. Sark, 100% QWERTY. That is the best thing about Steve Sarkisian's staff. If they get a no early on, they keep pushing, they keep pushing, they keep pushing. And if something happens, like a coach firing or a position firing or something like that, we're right there to grab it out of the hands of the team that had it. So they do a fantastic job with that. Tom Herman was basically the opposite. Get all your recruiting done early and then sit back. I did not like that. Sark recruits through the whistle, and I freaking love it.